Absolutely. I guess my question to you is to maybe talk about and to have it now in fruition.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we've talked about this before, and of course, we've been neighbors for, well, campus has been there since 1904, so I guess we've been neighbors for a long time. But what really is fascinating about this is that you realize that you've just scratched the surface of what's possible. And I think one of the things that we're doing a lot more of with many of what we do with this program, but what we can do next. And
Okay, Greg over here.
Hi, Greg Engel with Forbes. Congratulations. I think this is a fantastic program. And Holly kind of hit on it because, you've been neighbors. I live in Central Florida, and I know how big Bethune is and how long you've been here. So you see their 75th anniversary, and like you talked about, Dr. Drake, we come from a different generation. It must be part of the whole transformation that we're seeing, that we still have a long way to go, but, NASCAR has taken some great strides in moving forward, ahead of the entire rest of society. So how is it to be able to see that transformation taking place, and now you have this program to welcome your students into this world?
One of the things that I spend a lot of time, particularly with my leadership and other members of our leadership team, is this concept of what I call transitional leadership versus transformational leadership. And when you talk about transformation, you really are talking about leapfrogging over things that you might otherwise have just incrementalized. And most of the things that we have taught our students for many years is just to focus on a thing and then incrementalize it and just move along. Well, guess what? That isn't the world we live in today. Technology is changing so fast. And I'll tell you what's really exciting about NASCAR is how technology is leapfrogging other sports with respect to the safety of the cars in particular, and how that actually affects the thinking and the modeling that we can do about how human processes information. And how humans process information is a lot of what goes into decision making when you're growing up in the world and you're trying to figure out what to do. So we think that this is bigger than just the motorsports, but it really has to do with trying to attach and think about the whole human being that we're trying to develop at the collegiate level.
Okay, thank you. And I think we got one more down here, kicking the tires.
Seth Egger, kickingtires.net. You mentioned the different generation and the growing technology. NASCAR does have a little bit of an esports side with iRacing. Would that also be something to look at in the program in the future?
So in terms of exposing the students to the different departments and facets of the motorsports industry, esports will certainly be one of them. I mean, that's the future of, it's the present of our sport, but also the future of our sport, right? So they'll certainly be exposed to the folks within our organization who are doing the work. And who knows, this is the first iteration of this program. It'll certainly grow and develop to be something beyond what we can imagine here today in the years to come.
There's also this idea of using different variations of the NASCAR experience to teach what we used to use as textbook things like physics, for example. People don't really understand how time, space, and distance really work in NASCAR. We have an opportunity to talk about physics in the context of our NASCAR relationship. So I think there's all different kinds of learning models that will emerge from this, and we look at it much more broadly than just, the basics of motorsports. We think there's a lot that we can learn and a lot that we can impart to our students about how they can really fine-tune their discipline and their thinking.
Okay, we got a couple more. We got a gentleman over here.
Thank you. This is Alan Alford from the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. Just talk about the representation of Bethune-Cookman to come in the 75th anniversary Daytona 500, and also to do this on Black History Month. What is the significance on that?
Well, I have my my Black History, NASCAR decal, and it is really serendipitous that all of this comes together at the right time. Last year, as many of you know, our founder, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, the first black woman to represent a state in our capital, and her statue is now in perpetuity, was pretty amazing for us. But the other thing that's amazing is that, you know, this university, which was founded on the basis of really faith, you know, $1.50 and 5 kids is how the university started. And today, thinking about the thousands of alumni that we have, as well as a university now that's in its 118th year. So to do that in concert with what's happening at NASCAR is pretty exciting for us. And it's pretty significant that we're doing it in the month of February. And when we started planning this, we thought how appropriate to be able to do it at the 500.
That's great. All right, we got. Excellent. All right, last one from.
Particularly when it comes to the
Most core in the industry, education as well. So firsthand, having that experience of being exposed to something, and my eyes kind of opening up to a world that, you know, I knew existed but really didn't know how to get in, and what all that the world could be. And so that's really what we're hoping to do with this program. And I do think that that's the critical piece, being able to build upon that, as well as giving them the tools and the coaching along the way, so that when it does come time for them to graduate and apply for internships and jobs and things.
Mr. Drake. Now it's my personal favorite time. It's big check time, people. So today we are very excited to announce that NASCAR is making a contribution to Bethune-Cookman University for 100th year Vice President and Chief Human Resources Officer.
Can we get one more John? I'd like for John to join us. He's a graduate of Bethune-Cookman. He also works in NASCAR.
Yep. And then Brandon Thompson is also going to join, Vice President of DEI for NASCAR.
All right, everybody look right here for me. Ready, 1, 2, 3.
All right. All right, thank you, everybody. This concludes our announcement, but we have a treat for you later. So we'd like to invite everyone to enjoy Bethune-Cookman University's marching band performance as part of the Daytona 500's pre-race entertainment at 11:55 a.m. on the front stretch toward Turn 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Big fan of it. I think it's great. I worked with the City Spirit in the last in my area of responsibility packages. I will. I'd like to. I'd like to. I will. Thank you, Dr. Drake.
Good, good. And make sure you send me a picture you took today. Okay.
Carrie, the mic up there.
the mic should be on already. All right, we're going to continue with our media availabilities here at Daytona International Speedway in advance of today's 65th running of the Great American Race. We are joined by our track president, Frank Kelleher. As you guys have heard, we are celebrating our 65th anniversary of this race, 75th anniversary of NASCAR this season. We've had great crowds here this week. Largest Craftsman Truck Series crowd since 2011 was on Friday night. The largest Xfinity Series crowd since our $400 million renovation was completed in 2016 was yesterday. So Frank, why don't you talk a little bit about how the week's going here for you?
Cool. Good to see you all. Good morning. Want to start out by thanking Steph. You are on the hot seat. As Steph knows, this is my sophomore season in this role, and media, public speaking, all of that is new to me, coming from my former role with NASCAR. And Steph has been phenomenal to work with, so I want to thank you for your grace and your patience. It's been a lot of fun the last few months, us all over the country promoting Daytona International Speedway, and also the entire comms and PR team of NASCAR, best in class. So thank you. Also, Yes, round of applause. Woohoo! And genuinely, honestly, want to thank you all for being here. Thank you. You are our guest. We appreciate your interest. We appreciate your time. I know it is a lot of long hours and sacrifice being away from your family and your lives. And it's our goal to make you feel home and to feel welcome. And if there are things that we can do to make your stay better, we can't change what we don't know. So if it's little things of the food or whatever, just we're here for you. We're grateful for you. And we're really hoping for an awesome race today. And with what we've seen, we feel good about it. So to your lead-in question, we've been having a ton of fun this year. I mean, our season really starts right after Christmas. World Karting Association is here. Dirt oval sprint course in the infield turn 3, as well as the enduros, and it was a record-setting turnout for the whole karting community. And I love that as a former karter, and knowing that it is a very family-centric piece. The Rolex this year rolling into that, the 61st running of the Rolex 24. Rolex was able to fully support it this year. They were on pause through the pandemic, but their leadership, they shoved all in and brought back all of the big show that they always bring. 61 cars taking the green flag. I think there was some anxiety of the new car, right? Is it going to make the full race? What's going to happen? I mean, and it was just awesome racing the whole time, and it was the highest attended Rolex event in the 61 years. So the infield was slammed. The stands were packed as you get into NASCAR Turn 1. Personally, I thought it was really cool that and I got to say the weather was awesome. It was freezing the year before to where it was beautiful weather like this. So speaking on behalf of the entire staff here, we just had great momentum leaving the Rolex and kind of chest out and feeling some swagger getting into Speed Weeks presented by Advent Health. And the numbers are there as well. What we just talked about with Craftsman Truck Series, it's great to welcome them back. The walk-up that we had was through the roof. Yesterday was a big event. We hyped up the duel really big. Awesome, you know, Connor and Zane, you know, his win Rolex weekend, his win in the Truck Series. So we'll see what he can get done this afternoon. As well as it's our, to me, I just think that speaks to the overall, myself and my team, we're already we've been getting ready for Monster Energy Supercross that'll be here March 4th, and we're expecting record crowds there. So from our point of view, we're having a ton of fun. We are excited for the day. Breland doing the anthem, Dierks Bentley, we know he knows how to get a party going, so excited for him to be out there. The Thunderbirds have been in town all week. They've got some tricks up their sleeves to entertain you all and our fans. So everyone's feeling good, and we're going to roll through bikes and catch our breath after that. Before we know it, we'll be in rock music festival mode with Danny Wimmer Presents Rockville. And their ticket sales from a year-over-year standpoint, I think they're up 20% per day. So they're flirting with already 35,000 tickets sold each day. So we love throwing big events and parties. We feel we do it really well, and just grateful and excited for today. What'd I miss, Steph?
You didn't miss anything. Might not even have to go to questions.
Come on, there's got to be a couple.
All right, we will go to questions. We'll start here with Bruce and then do Jacob and Greg.
Frank, if you could contrast what you had to go through last year with the supply chain shortage, with worker shortage. It was a struggle to get everybody together because you'd talked about that a year ago, about the challenges. You were able to get through that, how difficult that was, and how much better it is that you don't have to worry about any of that this year.
Yeah, it was a big concern. A lot of anxiety leading into the event, in particular guest services, security, you know, fire department, police, local, state, and then Levy concessions, right? I mean, that you have to stick the landing on that. I mean, when it comes to the guest experience of food and beverage, people do not want to wait in line, and they want a quality product and pay a good price. And when you're planning for that and you know, all right, year over year we're down, I mean, you just had to be positive about it. And all right, well, if we need 250 people, let's hire 300 people in anticipation that some might not show up. And I feel like we actually thrived through it all and delivered a great product. And I think that that speaks to the fact that we sold out again early for this year. So not having to worry about it, you just kind of then channel your focus to somewhere else of, all right, well, how do we make it better? How do we get our gate times quicker? How do we get people off property quicker? What are things that we can do from just servicing the area? So again, we're proud. We feel we stuck the landing last year, and we just challenged ourselves getting into this event of let's just do it better.
Going to go to Jacob.
Jacob Zielman, 77 Sports Media, kickingthetires.net. Frank, kind of a question in two parts for me. I'll start with this being the 75th anniversary celebration for the sport, 65th 500. Last year, I'm sure, was a lot of just, figuring out how to make everything go with it being your first 500 in this role. But what have you been able to feel this week from a historical standpoint, a dynamic standpoint, atmosphere? I mean, what feels different this year compared to your first one last year?
First Daytona 500 too was, an emotional moment for me, a garage kid in Pennsylvania who never thought that I would get to Daytona, and here I am volunteering. So there's still the race fan in me. And to your question about this year, I still get blown away that NASCAR's a global property right now, and it literally started a few miles away on the beach. And it's still the same family, and there still are so many traditions, and honoring the 75th, I think from a league standpoint, they're doing a phenomenal job. I love the Grand Marshals today and how the France family got involved with that, of something honest and authentic that shines a light on these last 75 years. For the 65th, full-time employee now for 20 years, I think you just feel it in the town. Like unsolicited, the comments and remarks of, there's a lot of people here. Like there's a lot of people at the intersections crossing the street and coming to the Speedway, or traffic getting to Beachside, or, hearing that it was a 3-hour wait at some like local restaurants in Daytona and in Ormond. So to me, it just has those old vibes of like, people are in town and people want to see a great. Been around 2003.
You're starting motorsports, because that was where I was going with the second half of this. You said when you first took the job, I don't belong here.
So I've told a story, and I don't know if my parents will appreciate it because it might show maybe their lack of concern for my well-being, but I was too young to get into the pits at Makatech Speedway, so they would pull the truck and trailer over on the side of the road and put me in the back with the race car, and I would hang onto the radius rod wall, and they would sneak me in and tell me, like, stay close, So like, there's still a part of me that feels like I snuck in, you know what I mean? Like even in this of from an intern to sales to, all right, you want me to be the face of the World Center of Racing, but I just think it's those humble beginnings and just lessons I learned in a family business of just treat people the right way and outwork people and out hustle. And I think kind of, do I feel like I belong? Sure, but I still feel like I got to wake up every day and earn it. And also with the humility of the show will go on. Like I'm not going to be in this role forever. So enjoy the moment, maintain the legacy, try to leave a thumbprint, but also have the humility that the show will go on. And at one point I will hopefully be doing something else in the sport. It's always next week.
Go ahead, Greg.
Greg Engel, Forbes. Couple things. Steph needs a raise. You were asking about bringing back stuff. The massage students we used to have out here would be great.
Please fact check that.
Yeah. And on a serious note, how do you leverage this big crowd, these huge crowds you're having, to help sell other events? Because you got Rockville coming up, you've got the motocross coming up, you got all this stuff coming up. How much do you have to do you try to leverage and balance the marketing techniques without kind of oversaturating your crowd here to sell future events? Because once a fan's here, they're much more inclined to come back.
Yeah, I think, fundamentals, it starts in the parking lot. The people that are greeting you and parking you, and if you have a question, where's lot 3? What is that engagement like? Because that starts your day. So to make sure that that starts well to when you're exiting, that it is clear of how you leave, and while you're on property, that we nail all those fundamental things. And so, yeah, we're definitely going to want to let them know, hey, we've got a lot more really cool, fun stuff going on here. Why don't you come back? But you nailed it, right? Because if we don't win the Orlando market, the Tampa market, the Jacksonville market, we're not in a spot of, 8th consecutive sellout. But then when we start looking at marketing plans for Supercross and Rockville, it still is the backyard. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of science and it's a little bit of gut that once you get people comfortable coming here and knowing that, I still love all of our ancillary events. Kids 12 and under are free, and you could still bring a cooler in, and there still is free parking. I think those are lasting memories that when we are promoting a Rockville, there's just a good feeling of that is a great venue and great people, and let's go back and do it. Let's go do something different.
All right, well, we're ready to do it. Let's,
Up there.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to roll right into our next press conference here at Daytona International Speedway. We are now joined by our pre-race performer, Dierks Bentley, who is a multi-platinum entertainer and a really good friend of our sport. He performed at Phoenix for our championship race a couple of years ago, was here in Daytona in 2011 to hear your return.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me that it's been 2011 since I was last year. It's been a while. It feels like it was yesterday, but yeah, I guess time has slid by a little bit in the last 10 years. It's great to be here. Just listen to Frank speak. It reminds me a lot of us a lot in Colorado, just the attention to fans, making the fan experience. That's what it all comes down to. I mean, I got 3 kids here, and they're already having a great time. And so just from the second you come in to the second you leave, it's a great experience here at Daytona, and that's so important to the overall vibe as much as the racing is. So I just love to be back on the grounds. It's even us, just coming in, just everyone you meet backstage, so friendly, so happy to see you. Everyone's excited to be here at the the Super Bowl of NASCAR, and just it's a great vibe to be back on campus, I guess you'd say.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're back here.
Thank you.
We're going to open it up to questions. We will start here with Jenna.
Hey, Jenna Fryer, Associated
Hey,
Press. Hi. I see you got a gang of Blaney fans
Oh,
there.
yeah.
His own fan club.
Oh, yeah.
How did that happen?
I met Ryan through, we both have a mutual business called Flag and Anthem. It's a clothing brand. He's the kind of the NASCAR rep, and I'm the country music rep. But just really just a great guy, down to earth. Just really enjoy talking to him. My kids he's always been great to my kids. It's all the drivers, mostly are. And we were talking pre-race about how many, my daughter Evie back there looked up online about how many calories a driver loses during the race, and and how much water they need to drink. And we had to clarify it's not 500 laps, it's 500 miles, because 500 laps be, I think they worked out to 1,250 miles. We're not doing that today. We're only doing 500 miles. But so no, but he's great. He's just a nice guy down. And we both were.
Additional questions for Dierks? Oh, we have one way in the back. We'll go to Melissa. Way in the back to Melissa.
Oh.
Thanks. Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. Wanted to find out, since you have performed at so many different venues, what do you find is the biggest difference with the Daytona 500 versus a lot of the other races throughout the season?
Oh, great question. Well, there's nothing like it. Like I was saying earlier, this is kind of the Super Bowl, and it's just to be on that stage, especially just sound checking earlier out there before watching people come in, and they're just, it's all ages, which is great. It's 8 to 80, and it's just they're all out there excited for this big day, and for us too, this is kind of the start of our season as well. We, as a band, we're all back on our bus and fired up to be on the road. So it's always a great way to kick off the year. Because like I said, for us, we're just getting every show's awesome. I look forward to people ask what my favorite venue is. It's always the next one. I was looking forward to the next show we're playing, but. there's a few that stick out in country music, and there's certainly a few races that stick out. And Daytona's right there at the top.
Performing at these racetracks, you perform at so many different places across the country. So what seems to be the best part about being at a racetrack and performing in front of the fans like that?
Well, as a band, it's fun just to be backstage, looking at tires and tools and cars, and just seeing the way the NASCAR guys get around, checking out their buses and their coaches and how they do it. So if it's just the singer that's always been interested in how backstage life. It's just fun for us to be somewhere totally different than our usual environment. So I love that. I think for my kids and just to be back here, it's just new and different and exciting. There's something in the air that's just palpable. You can feel the excitement of the season getting started, and then I just think as an overall concept, mixing country music with NASCAR, just providing these fans with a lot of different entertainment options throughout the day it's really cool. Hopefully I answered your question there, but I'm excited.
We'll come up front to Alan. Alan, there's a mic.
I can hear you.
This is Alan from the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. Just talk about, when you told your family that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and sing at this event, Daytona 500. What was their reaction and how was that experience?
Yeah. Well, I've had such a long history with NASCAR. I mean, certainly as a fan to begin with, that Eric Church song about, rolling down the road on, 5 friends and 4 bald tires. I mean, that was me. I've been to, I think, 13 or 14 different tracks before I even had a record deal. So I used to go to a lot of races just as a fan. And then it's pretty weird to get a record deal and you get a chance to come back here and be paid to come to a NASCAR race. It's like, okay, I probably would have come for free. But don't tell anybody that. Just to be here is amazing. So to tell my kids, for them to get a chance to see it from this perspective is pretty cool, because this is not the perspective I first saw them at. I remember one of the first races I went to was Atlanta, and I went to go get a beer, and they're like, "Yeah, Cobb County's dry on Sunday." I'm like, "What?" So I had to go find someone that had a cooler. But for these guys to get rolling backstage and be running around the pit crew and pit teams and the pit road and be out there for their driver introduction and certainly get a chance to see their dad play before the race starts is pretty exciting. So I think they're stoked. I mean, they're gonna go back to school on Monday and be like, what did you do for President's Weekend? I was at the Daytona 500. I mean, that's like, doesn't get any cooler than that. That's major bragging rights. So it's pretty fun for all of us.
Thank you. It's awesome.
Any final? Oh, we'll go up to Lee right here.
I think the first time you came in, you were a guest of Casey Kane's, and I'm just
Yeah.
kind of curious how you've seen the sport change since then.
It's changed a lot. There's a lot of drivers' names, I'll be honest, I don't recognize, which is good. I'm not new. I've been doing this for a while, so there should be some new people coming in, which is exciting to watch these new names. I think it brings a lot of energy back into the sport, having new teams and new drivers, younger guys. When I was first coming in, it was Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd, and it was it was just a lot of different drivers, and now it's a lot of new guys, like I said, to recognize. So I think it's great for the sport. I think it's definitely you can feel that NASCAR's, there's just something, it just feels really popular right now. A lot of the younger kids, like my 8th graders and stuff that I know. So it's really cool. I've seen it change a lot. Still friends with a lot of those drivers, and but it's also good to see those guys are coming out, new guys are coming in. Also great to see Jimmy Johnson's here. That's exciting to see him come back, and so you have a lot of things happening. A lot of guys are kind of on the verge of retirement, and then a lot of these new kids and coming in. So I have a little bit to catch up on today, which I'm excited to be here for that. But it's exciting. And it's like it does remind a lot of country in a way where there's always some, the reason why certain songs always work in country music is because there's always some 17-year-old kid who's new to the music. And it's his first time, and he's got his truck, and he's got he wants to hear songs about that truck, and he wants to hear songs about that lifestyle. And there's other guys that are kind of aging out, but there's always that excitement there, and there's always the audience that's eager for the thing to be, I'm a NASCAR fan, and that's my thing. I hang my hat on. So these younger drivers, younger teams are helpful in bringing in those new fans into the sport, I think.
All right, Dierks. Well, before we let you get out to the stage to play, we're going to bring Frank Kelleher back up.
Oh, wow.
here.
Frank's going to sing us a song, y'all. Amazing. Great. What do you got for us?
We have a special gift for you.
Oh, wow.
We could not think of a better person to kick off the party for the
Yeah.
65th
Wow.
running of the Daytona 500.
Beautiful. Hand-painted.
And to start our 75th NASCAR season. So
The Martin guitar. Wow, this is not a cheapo. This is a nice one, you guys.
we can't pull out all the stops. And what we love about the art on it as well is First NASCAR race.
Yeah, on the beach, going over the
And
board. Yeah.
Last year's series
Yeah, that's
champion,
really cool.
Logano and this year's logo. So
Very
again,
cool.
We're grateful for you to be here. We hope you have some fun and get the party started for us.
Should we hold it up for everybody? Here we go.
Yes.
Play it for everybody. No, let me see. We got here.
We want to hear Frank sing.
No, you don't.
Frank can sing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Really, this is a really nice. 28. Don't mess around. Now you really, yeah. Thank you guys. All right, guitar, man. That's killer.
Dierks, you can hand it to me. We got a case, everything. If you want to leave it, you can. We can get it to you.
We got it. Yeah.
Cool.
Brian's going to help us.
Great work.
Yeah, it came out good.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun to do. It's fun doing homework and having some hook and something to get me to.
Nailed it. I hope I explained it accordingly.
Yeah, well, if it worked, yes.
Some venues that play with that be helpful. The beer cans are flying at you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, man. Pleasure to meet you.
I did, indeed, yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, I mean, I always forget signing these things. I'm like, this is a real guitar. But thanks, guys. You're brave to paint on it. You want to get a picture together?
Absolutely. No, we could get